2, 1.
Final tap.
I'm
I'm
Jason.
Tim.
And this month our theme was Discord.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Did you guess it? Did you get it?
Some pretty weird takes on Discord.
I feel like mine was extremely literal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was yours.
Mine was also extremely literal.
That was...
I also really ham-fisted my fucking clue in there.
You did.
So where are we dropping, boys?
Why was yours?
Do we want to keep talking about
Discorded?
Captain Beefheart or
No.
not?
No. No, I'm good.
So I wanted to do this theme just because I love Mitsuki, but the way she writes is very like unclear, like resolutions in her music. It's all very like weird chord choices and weird lyric overlaps, and it is all a little out of place, but in a way that works and sounds pretty, unlike unlike other albums we listen to.
Are you happy?
No,
Are you proud of yourself?
not really.
Good.
Jason's lost it and lost Final Tap.
Let's move right to it. Go on then.
Yeah, no, that's Mitsuki definitely was like very kind of unexpected in a lot of ways. Like the harmony would just take you to a place that just you weren't like necessarily expecting it at all, and then it would drop you in to where you were expecting just
Afterwards,
much later or
yeah.
afterwards or just before. Yeah, it's really cool. I quite like that style of music.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What style would you call that? Like, what genre would you call that?
I don't know. I think she plays with a lot of, I guess like alt pop, indie pop kind of
Okay.
vibes. Yeah.
So like indie dream pop?
Yeah, something like that.
Dream pop
Seems
is-
like a lot of eclectic inspirations in there.
For sure.
Like things from all over the place. There was fucking funk in there. There was soul and bossa nova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bit of grunginess in
Yeah,
there.
all kinds of stuff. What about you? Why is your album Discord?
Well, because no, so I've been wanting to pick a Fugazi album for ages and just like waiting for the right opportunity to drop it in, and like, well, their label is Discord and it's all DIY and like super cool. I was like, perfect,
Bingo.
that's it. Just like the most literal approach to the theme I could.
Oh, maybe
do.
not the most literal approach.
Well, that was like, there were a lot of albums I could have picked. Like I really liked their first album, and there are some others that are a little bit more, like, End Hits is a bit more approachable. Repeater is sort of, but like, as a first listening, you can be like, oh yeah, like that's generally pretty good. But then Red Venison has a lot of like industrial sounds and a lot of like just weird shit happening. That's sort of quite, I guess, like hard to listen to sometimes.
And
So-
vaguely also fits the theme. That
Yeah,
way.
so I thought that might
Comparatively, it now feels like listening to the fucking Wiggles. Having gone through Captain Beefheart.
Is this where I explain myself?
No,
you wanna go?
let's go right and left because my album Boreas by the Go Hellos, I selected by asking a Discord server. So that's how I did it. That's a messaging app for all you boomers on board. But in listening to it, I did find that there was a lot of like discordant elements in the music, like as we discussed in the episode. I think of things being at odds with each other. That's discordant, right? So the songwriting and the production, as we talked about, were really not congruent with one another.
When you
Throughout
asked
a
the
lot of that.
Discord channel, what did you ask for?
Give me a discordant album.
Right.
Yeah.
So they kind of nailed it.
Yeah, even though the person who gave it to me didn't know what discordant meant. It's an international server. Yeah. And that they also did that thing where they mix major and minor thirds, which to me is like musically, harmonically discordant, right? Mixing that kind of modal shit all up in a big pot. Jason,
Your time has come.
Yeah, so Captain Beefheart musically is very discordant, especially for someone who hasn't listened to it before, but also just the views that people have on it, because it's so polarizing there. Like, there's not a consistent it's good or it's bad. It's opposite ends of the scale.
How did you know about it? Like,
I
I feel
went-
surprised at myself and never even hearing
Went
about
down
this.
like a Frank Zappa rabbit hole a little bit last year and
okay.
came across it via that.
And you didn't think to listen to it?
I intentionally didn't, because I wanted to not hear it until the podcast we listened to it.
Is this that album that you've been hyping up?
No.
for-
No.
Oh, there's another one? Shit.
Potentially.
Um,
I've got a few like that I want to bring, but obviously have to for certain themes.
yeah.
Nah, just
So
break
Just
it
do
in.
it. Break the theme.
So
just
this,
lose
this
the month.
wasn't one of them. This is just one that you've had in the back pocket to cause suffering with.
Yeah, and I thought it would be unfair given the whole multiple listens apparently makes it better. I thought it would be unfair for me to listen to it and start enjoying
It actually
it.
could have been fun
Imagine.
because you would have been like, no, this is so good. And we would have been crucifying you.
It just made the podcast itself all Discord.
It was interesting to me that in our group chat for figuring out what we were going to do this month, you said dibs on this album as though we would be like, oh yes, Captain
Well, it
Beefheart.
fits the theme, and it's
Yeah,
a
but
seminal
you jumped
album.
on it as though it was like...
Because it's a seminal album,
Yeah,
therefore
but
I'm like,
you
you
were
guys...
fearful that one of us would pick it.
Yes, it's more you than Tim.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if Tim would have picked this. I'm not sure I know your music tastes enough, but I'm surprised at myself for not being
It
like,
really
"This
seems
one."
like the sort of thing that you would know about and have at least heard of.
Weird motherfucker.
And the fact that throughout it you were like, oh, this is kind of fine, and Tim's there breaking down.
Like, I was almost bleeding from my eyes.
Well, I think like it's if you're gonna listen to discordant music, a superpower to have when listening to it is able to like, it's like mindfulness while listening. You just have to be present for each moment as it comes, and forget about the past and not fear the future,
That's beautiful.
and just experience every moment because some of them might be good. And Captain Beefheart, I think, had rare moments of okay amongst the very not okay
Yeah, in the form of sax solos.
in the form of sax solos. Which, yeah.
All right.
I think that's something that really helps with like, because like if you get something that's a bit sort of on edge in terms of like harmony or melody or whatever, you alienate a lot of your audience just straight off the bat.
I completely understand why it flopped in the US.
Yeah.
Like it actually amazes me that it is regarded in like the esteem that it is. Like 60th out of 500 albums, like in the top albums of
They
like, all
couldn't
time.
think of another. This is Rolling Stone, and they could only think of 59 other albums better than that.
Yes.
We're in a dark place.
Well, from what I understand, Red Medicine, I'm pretty sure was Fugazi's like top charting album,
Yeah, right.
even though it's definitely not the most sort of approachable. So maybe there's something to it. Having a bit of discord, having a bit of conflict.
Mm.
Well, yeah, Trout Mass Replica at this point is like an infamous album because of the reactions it gets from people.
I'm glad to have contributed.
You'll never forget it, right? None of us will ever forget.
I'll fucking try. I suppose now we should talk about the role Discord can play in music.
Yeah.
As a way of messaging your friends and sharing all of your favourite songs. No, I mean as an element of music. Do you fall for that?
Yes.
Come on.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. Alright, so Discord. Two elements like rubbing up on each other. They don't get along, hey. What's that like?
Well, okay, so no, if we're gonna dive down that rabbit hole, I think a good example of this is Mitsuki, right?
For sure. I think, yeah, that having something that still has something to connect to, like those melodies over the top of everything, having like, you know, at least mostly regular rhythms and just something in the foundation to latch on to and to give your attention to, kind of allows that other stuff to flow through a little bit more and makes it that much sweeter when the resolution does finally come.
Yeah.
Like, but still having that resolution, I think, is important.
Tension and release.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if that's what you're going for thematically as well. I think that's the special thing about Mitsuki is, like, thematically, it, like, the music all ties in together. It's not just, I thought this was fun and cool. Like, there's a purpose for it all.
Yeah. If I, like, compared Mitsuki with Kate LeBon, who I don't think necessarily pulls off... She's got her own style, but doesn't necessarily pull it off as well as Mitsuki. And I think that some of those elements, like Mitsuki has like quite simple melodies that float over the top of complex stuff. And then when it's like the bass is really simple or whatever, she starts to spice it up. And I think... to compare that to someone who's maybe not quite hitting the nail on the head, she can, Kate LeBon will do stuff like her melody will be complex over something else that's complex as well. And so it creates this kind of like, you lose track of what's going on without that grounding.
Yeah, it's about finding the balance.
Yeah. And being sort of centered somewhere.
Yeah, right. So, like, you could plot a graph of complexity and it's like going to be static because the elements of it are adding up to a certain amount. It's just distributing it in different instruments. Different parts of the music are carrying different amounts of complexity.
Yeah, because like if you have something that's too complex, like it's just kind of, it becomes real effort to listen to, right?
Yeah.
I didn't write this.
Are you feeling attacked, Jason?
Not really. I can understand Tim's response, not understanding or having what I think an understanding of how he listens to music. Like, there's no harmony for him to grasp onto there, or it's like conflicting harmony constantly.
I can listen to music without harmony. I don't like to, but I can. That had something else. Old Beefheart there. There's this idea in... so we're all familiar with the idea of consonance and dissonance harmonically.
For those of you playing at home.
Right, yeah. Consonance is when things like just sound fine. They belong together, right? You have a chord with notes that are just happy together. Dissonance is when things don't get along. And for a long time, a lot of people... Well, I don't even know how old this idea is, but dissonance is generally thought of as a harmonic idea. But, of course, it's just a word. We can use it in whatever way we want. And this whole idea of tension and release in music, which a lot of people characterize as, like, the driving force behind a lot of music, it can manifest in more elements than just harmony, right? We can have dissonance and consonance in rhythm, in texture, in structure, in instrumentation and melody. So I find that discord is kind of like dissonance amongst the elements themselves. Two elements are being dissonant with each other instead of like everyone's like they're harmoniously building towards a product. Am I making any fucking sense?
Yeah.
So okay, then what do you think the experience of Captain Beefheart would have been? And what's the actual album? I'm sick of saying that fucking name.
The Trout Mask Replica.
Okay, Trout. So if Trout Mask Replica had a whole bunch of songs that were as it were, and then we had one like clean banger song just smack right there in the middle, or
right.
And then it's sort of like went back into the nastiness, and then we just had another great song where everything aligned. Do you think that would have given it more power?
Variety is the spice of life, as they say, and change is as good as a vacation.
Yes.
So I really do agree with that, and Jason looked like he really didn't.
Yeah.
My take on that would be something like Dark Side of the Moon, and you put a really bad song in the middle of that that's out of place, and you interrupt the flow of what it's got going on. Like, it would be like, this is still potentially a really good song, but it like ruins the overall atmosphere of it all connecting together.
Yeah, I think it would give it more of the feel of what was the Oh Hello's album?
Yeah.
Where it was like it was all
Right.
very good and competent, but you had like a couple of songs that were
That just felt
that
out
were
of
like
place.
yeah, exactly, that felt like they were designed to be the good
Remember,
radio friendly kind of track.
I'm going to track back a couple months to T-Square
Yeah.
and the Grand Prix World Tour. That was this crazy jazz fusion album that went for its entire length, and then there was a like kind of glam rock ballad at the end.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a song that like it's completely up. It was a good song, but it was so
Completely up.
jarring.
Right.
And that's what
But I'm going to argue that Dark Side of the Moon does have a song that's pretty incongruent with the rest of it in the middle of the album. Money.
Yes, but it is the opening track to the second side, and it's the only point where you have a break between the music, like a literal break.
They could have done that on Captain Beef because it was released as a double album, right?
Yes.
Well, they could have done that. They could have added something akin to that.
Yeah,
And maybe it would have worked in exactly the same way.
not that I know, not that I remember clearly the differences between all of the songs. But what was the changeover point? What would have been the middle?
True.
Oh, there's 3 stopping points.
This was the advantage to because it's 2 albums. You have to flip it
Yeah.
over and change the disc and flip it over again. This is the advantage to when we had our classic final month, like listening to those things physically.
It's an advantage in. Actually, no, it would be an advantage in the case of this album because you listen to the first side and then you're like, right.
So-
And then you put it back and you put it away and you just never touch it again.
The first stopping point is between Moonlight on Vermont and Pachuco
Pachuco.
Cadaver.
I don't think this is going to help us
We've
because
been
I've
No,
already-
but
Pachuco
we
Cadaver is
kinda
the
liked
Calypso
it.
one. We kind of liked that one.
That
that
was
one
the
was
most-
kind of out of place.
Yeah.
That was like the most song-like song. It was just not good.
Then we've got that side ends with Dali's Car and starts
Oh,
with
really?
Hair Pie Bake 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then side 3 ends with Ant-Man B. And side 4 starts with Orange Claw Hammer.
Oh, no, that's
Wow.
the vocal one with the lick, lick, licorice. That's how you open the 4th side. Oh, my God.
Well, I guess if you make it to the 4th side, you're really committed for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd be in the same mental space that he was in, where like
Yeah.
he just had to get through it. You just had to get through it.
I haven't made a mistake. Just keep going. Power through.
Okay, so is the conclusion then you can't rescue something that's so discordant and so fucked, you can't like give yourself what's the word?
A moment of reprieve.
Yeah, moment of reprieve.
I don't think it's a moment of reprieve because the whole thing is constructed in the way it
But
is.
the contrast wouldn't just be like, whoa, like
If it was built in from the ground up,
Yeah.
potentially, but like adding one song in, I don't think.
Especially because it's so long. Like if it was like a 10 track or something like that, maybe that would be better. But because there is so much of it, you'd have to have them filtered through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the way
okay.
they kind of had those like purely vocal tracks,
Yeah,
if you
'cause it'd be
replace
like-
those.
with actual good.
Because it'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, 2 minutes of calmness in these 100 minutes of this. I think, not to bring everything back to Pink Floyd, but I think that there is a great moment of discord building to clarity, where things work together to congruously, and that's the beginning of Time, where it has all the clocky clocks and the steps pacing around, and it's all very like in your head, and then it like snaps into place, and the rock song actually begins, and it's like, oh my god, I can actually make sense of this. Yeah. I think that's a fucking brilliant. I mean, we talked about this album enough, but that's a brilliant way of like delivering a release of tension, which is what discordance in music can be all about. I'm not saying that it is, but it can be, and it should be.
Yeah, I mean, like that's if you have absolutely no tension, right? Like that's kind of, I I don't even know what the genre is, you know, like the kind of the meditation.
It's baby music.
Corporate pop.
Oh, like, okay, corporate pop, like, but even then there's like some inbuilt tension.
Good
in there.
nursery rhymes.
Yeah,
Don't
like,
they?
yeah.
Even
and
some of
that's
them do have tension.
But like, yeah, I'm thinking like, particularly like if you listen to like meditation tracks or like, you know, things where you're meant to just zen out.
Whale
to.
song.
Yeah, there's
Rain
basically,
tracks.
they're just so, there's nothing to it. You
Yep.
know, there's just like a little bit of like an Afro drum beat. And you're like, yeah, cool.
Occasional thunderclap.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's so...
and like there's something there. It's the equivalent of white noise, right? There's nothing musically to make you interested, so you just fly off into whatever fucking thoughts you've got.
Yeah, I hate it. Doesn't make me calm at all.
Well, what if that was the release then? In Trout
Yeah,
Master
sure.
Replica. What if
That'd be
that
cool.
was the balance?
I mean, it wouldn't make me feel less anxious, but it would make me feel like something. There would be release. Interesting.
Time to re-listen.
Oh god. All right, we have to get down to the brass tacks and come to a conclusion on who really lost. Who brought the actual worst album this month? Jason, who do you think?
Musically me, but I think I fit the theme the best.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think Kira fit the theme best.
I think you're just being nice.
I know. Maybe I'm just being mean.
No, actually, hang on. To keep true to Vinyl Tap spirit, I think we take both elements into consideration.
What do you mean?
Well, like, I think a musical winning just
Yeah.
alone on the theme, I don't think is enough. I think, like,
Yeah, I think you can be disqualified for not meeting the theme, but we're still talking about how we felt about the albums themselves.
yeah. And, like, yes, okay, it is polarizing, but I think it's polarizing, I think most people would find it in a negative way. And, like, the fact that...
It's a big old assumption there.
Well, like, that you have to listen to it several times.
I don't think that being polarizing to a general audience is the same thing as being discordant.
The music itself is discordant.
Yes, but you didn't phrase it that way, and like I agree with you on that point, but I disagree with you on the other one. That's what makes it discordant. It is musically discordant. I think that Mitsuki is discordant more successfully.
Depends on how you're defining success, though.
That's why I said that I said.
I can't argue with that.
Nor should you.
Who did I think won? Red Medicine's pretty good. I kind of want to vote for myself, just purely just, you know,
Yeah, it was a fun
Discord, nice. Like, yeah, Mitzi's cool though. That was a really, really cool album. Someone else can vote. Jason.
I am actually voting for myself on this, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
Kira.
Look, I think it's two very strong ends of the same spectrum here, and I don't know which direction I want to go in. Because I absolutely think you're right, but I also absolutely think that Be the Cowboy was the best album.
Oh, yours was by far the best album we listened to today.
Hey, don't be mean to Red.
Red
I
Medicine.
really
Red Medicine was really
did
good.
like Red Medicine.
It's really good.
But that's more what I was expecting from Fugazi.
Yeah.
Whereas yours caught me off guard, and I'm going to go and listen to her other stuff.
I think based on it fitting the theme, and I also just enjoyed it as a listening experience. Definitely will go back and listen. I'll probably vote for Mitsuki.
I think that Mitsuki was more discordant, whereas Captain Beefheart was more incongruous. And like those terms aren't completely separate, but I think there is a worthwhile distinction to be made.
Well, one is kind of more art in a sense. It's more art than I think it is music.
Yeah.
Sure.
If we're talking about albums of music, like technically
that's the
Jason doesn't
situation.
even have an offering. Like, he just presented art to us.
Next month
An
on
album
Vinyl
of
Tap,
art.
I'm going to be bringing a painting to Vinyl Tap. We're going to listen to a painting. You know what? I think I did the best job because my album was the shortest. And I made the day more bearable.
So, yeah, you can vote for yourself, or you can vote for Tim.
Nah, don't do that. I'm voting for Mitsuki.
I think I have to stick with my girl Mitsuki.
Cool. Congratulations, Kira.
Thank you.
Well done.
You did it.
We've got no prizes for you.
Just the satisfaction of listening to Captain Beefheart.
I will appreciate that in its own special way.